Week 3 power rankings. Mikey B, Mikey, another crazy week of football. To the past. Oh, Diggs did got a fancy lot. Dude, Diggs was fantastic last night, wasn't he?
So I went into the week. Okay, I was facing a friend of ours, Mr. Jacob.
Okay.
Uh, was looking real good there for a while, early in the 1 o'clock games. And then somebody in your earnestly speaking circle,
Okay. Community on Facebook.
post that Lamar Jackson was having quote a great game and that people should start believing in him. And then Tyreek Hill went off for 56 points. My ass. And then I got 50 last night from Stephon Diggs to win by 30. But I was literally cruising, and then all of a sudden someone was like, look at this guy, Lamar Jackson. He's like, great. And then Tua was like, hold my beer.
But to be fair, though, Lamar, they both could be right here. Lamar had a fantastic game, but that fucking defense is kind of just fell apart.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about that because I'm sure there's something to be said about the Ravens on the rankings, at least on my end. All right, before we get to the top 10, we always do a sad 5. I'm gonna tell you guys right now on the podcast that comparison to week 1, and even in some ways coming into week 1, lots of shakeup because things are already starting to kind of sort themselves already, at least through 2 weeks anyway. So, without further ado, 28, who you got?
The Seattle Seahawks.
Guess what? So do I. And they only scored 7 points because of special teams. Was it a fumble or something? It wasn't a regular touchdown.
Defense / special teams. It wasn't anything that the offense did.
Exactly.
Their defense is going to be has to keep them in games. And if it doesn't, then they'll be in trouble all year.
Yeah. All right, 29.
They won on Sunday, but only because the Cleveland Browns are morons. Give me the Jets, Jets.
I went 29 with Chicago Bears. Back to earth. Again, that game on week 1 against San Francisco was a throwaway tape game. If that game was played on regular conditions, I don't think the result plays the same way, honestly. And we saw the Bears come back to earth.
I have Chicago at 27.
Oh, okay.
I have them just out of the. Because I will say this, while that game against the Niners is an anomaly in the long term,
right?
Weather conditions are something that teams are going to have to play through.
True, right?
And the fact that Aaron Rodgers just owns the fucking Chicago team like a fuck, like
he does
14-2, and the 2 losses are to fucking Green Bay every year.
I just love the Bears fans get mad about it. He says that, but like, where in that is it actually not true? Like, he does own you guys. Let's go. I mean, seriously, 30 he got.
Can we start the Malik Willis era because Ryan Tannehill is not good? Give me the Tennessee Titans.
They came close to getting my bottom 5. They came very close. The only reason I didn't make my bottom 5 is because I weighed quality opponent this week. Only reason why. 30 for me is the Jets. Like you said, 29 the Jets, 30 for me is the Jets. Yeah, they should not won that game. But look, if you're letting Joe Flacco win games, dude, maybe Cleveland should be down here instead. I don't know. Joe Flacco in a year our Lord 2022 is still playing football and actually playing decent football in 1 week. Who knows? Who knew that? Seriously. 31.
Texans.
Me too. I feel bad though because they should be Indy last week.
Correct.
They were in the game against Denver.
Correct.
This week. Maybe not as bad as we thought they were.
This is one of those teams where they're doing it with like no skill players either. Brandon Cooks is their number one receiver. I don't know about you, but nobody's thrilled about Davis Mills at quarterback.
But I will say that he looks capable.
I think he could be really good. And if that's the thing where you get a couple good years out of him and you can put these next couple drafts into skill players, defensive players, stuff like that, and then maybe 4 or 5 years down the road, it's whenever you get a quarterback to come in and take over. Or maybe you're a team that Jimmy Garoppolo fits in the offseason.
Yeah.
When he becomes a free agent, something like that. I just there are pieces that need to be addressed here. Damian Pierce, their rookie running back, could be good, but they're kind of like handcuffing him with Rex Burkhead. It's just I don't know. I'm not saying that they're tanking. Let me say that on air. I don't think they're tanking because
No, they're
they
playing
should have
hard.
won the game against Indianapolis. Their defense is the same thing that Seattle's going to have to do. Their defense is going to have to keep them in ball games.
Right.
Their defense did a good job keeping the Denver offense at bay most of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But gave them a shot to be in that game late. But I don't necessarily know that long term that's a thing that's going to fit them becoming a team that's going to jump up the rankings. Could they be a team that could fight for a playoff spot because of how bad the AFC South is? Yes.
At this point, all things are in play now in AFC South.
I mean, we have two teams in the AFC South in the bottom 5. Indianapolis is fucking free falling.
They're about to.
And Jacksonville is Jacksonville. I mean, literally, a team with 6 wins could probably make the playoffs in this fucking division.
Yeah, I think at this point now, let's see how things play out next couple weeks though. But right now, all things are in play at this point. All 4 teams are in play.
At this point, whomever is the team that does not win the AFC West is basically getting a bye week because they're going to play whoever wins this fucking division in the first round.
Exactly. All right, finally 32. I think it's easy. I got the Falcons. What do you got? Yeah.
Now they were in contention, had a shot to win that game. Marcus Mariota.
That's 2 weeks in a row,
buddy. I told you before the season started. I didn't say Marcus Mariota was going to lead him to a playoffs, but I told him Marcus Mariota was a decent NFL quarterback.
Oh, I like him. I like Mariota.
He's
been a fan.
He's been okay.
Always been a fan.
So think if they have Calvin Ridley. Think if they have some other pieces there that aren't there this year. The team ain't as far away from being a 5, 6, 7 win team like they were last year. Just because Matt Ryan isn't playing quarterback anymore.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. All right, here we go. Top 10. For me, there's a lot of shakeup. Some of this also too is do I really believe this? But based on the moment, let's run with it. Week 3 power rankings, top 10. Here we go. Number 10, you got
the Minnesota Vikings.
That's a bad loss last night. That's bad.
Again,
Kirk Cousins.
They dropped a spot because the teams below them also dropped some spots. Yeah. So they're not out of the top 10 because of that. But Primetime Kirk did Primetime Kirk things.
Yeah.
He wasn't good.
It's bad luck. Number 10 for me is a team for the first time in the top 10. Give me the San Francisco 49ers. Let me tell you what my logic is here on this one. I hate that Trey Lance got hurt. I hate it.
They improved because they actually went to the better quarterback.
Well, saying that, the thing is, we don't even know how good Trey Lance is. We haven't gotten an assessment yet. 4 starts and 3 of them only start. Maybe we don't know yet. But this is what I do know.
They went to the better quarterback.
Probably. What we do know is that with Garoppolo, they're steady. And I know now that Lance is gone, it sucks that he's gone, obviously. There's
is he going to get benched? Is he going to do anything like that?
But I know from this point on, I'm getting steady rest of the way. And steady always wins the race. Steady got you to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Steady got you to the NFC Championship game last year. Just saying. So because I got steady and I saw immediately, granted with Seattle, but people were kind of like, oh, Seattle could be pretty decent. No, stop. They shut that shit down pretty quickly. San Francisco number 10. They're the steady wins race team, and not a Jimmy G's the quarterback going forward. Man, insurance policy came through, did it? Shit. Whew. Wow, unbelievable. Number 9.
For the first time in the power rankings of yours truly, I will take the Miami Dolphins.
I like it.
I like what they're doing. I still don't love Tua. I'm gonna be the first one to admit it. I don't love him. I don't. Great comeback. Definitely think Baltimore let off the gas.
Of course.
In that game. First rule of football. I don't care if you're up by 40, be up by 47. Never let off the fucking gas. Here's your perfect example why. My question, though, for the Dolphin and for the Dolphin fan base, and especially the fan base here in South Florida, I don't know that they can keep up with teams offensively like they did Baltimore when teams like that, like Buffalo, have good defenses.
Which, by the way, week 3.
Yes, 100%. This is their test, is the Buffalo Bills week 3. But what I'm saying is I don't love the fact that a Dolphins defense that, as good as it was last year, allowed Lamar Jackson with Rashad Bateman and Devin Duvernay and Mark Andrews to basically pick them apart for the first 3 quarters of football. I didn't love it. I think that's a question. I don't know that they can keep up with the Bills and the Rams and the Chiefs of the world if that defense isn't going to make a stop.
Of course, right.
So kudos for them to making the comeback. Kudos to Tua for leading the drive to win the ball game. Tip the cap there. still don't love him as their quarterback. I think that they would be a Super Bowl contender with a Justin Herbert at quarterback, but that's my opinion. But the defense has to not allow teams to get into track meets because that may be a once in a lifetime kind of game from Tua in the fourth quarter. Like you sit there and now you're expecting him to come back from 21-point deficits. More times than not, it's going to end up with interception, fumble, fourth down stop, stuff like that. And you're going to be more like, well, why the fuck aren't we doing what we did 2 weeks ago against Baltimore? Can't get into that being comfortable. Can't be comfortable being down a lot of points, especially
Absolutely
going up against the Bills and the Chiefs and the Chargers and teams like that can score at will.
No, I totally agree with you. And we'll get to my music. I got mine on the list also too, a little higher. You mentioned a team at number 9 for me, Baltimore. It was Lamar's fault, obviously, but Lamar will get some blame because he's a quarterback. He's leader. That defense has fell apart. If I'm the Ray Lewis of the world and Ed Reed, I'm embarrassed. Because
Baltimore's always been known for their defense.
Yeah,
that wasn't a Baltimore defense.
No, that was horrific what I saw there. Now that being said, what is the stuff for the narrative going forward? Are they still a good team? If you take away the last quarter, yeah, they're still pretty solid. They've had 7 of 8 quarters so far that's been positive. So we'll move from there. But this is a bad look. It's a bad look. So anyway, number 8. You got
me. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
Good rebound. Did their job against the Bears. Still don't love their fucking offense.
Don't. And it's the Bears.
That's what I'm saying. Great bounce back. You did what you were supposed to against the Bears. You got the win that you were supposed to, but I don't love their offense. I don't love the, hey, by the way, you may be their number 1 wide receiver this week kind of thing. I don't know which way the wind's blowing. A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones splitting carries and it being like we're going to run the ball 7,000 times a game.
Right.
That works in the regular season, but we've proven that, you're going to have to put up points in the postseason. Question here, though, the defense played good against a team that is a mediocre offense. I'm still not in love with this defense.
No, I think for the Packers, for me, and I'll spoiler here, they're not my top 10. I consider it though, but it's probably like 11 or 12. I gotta see more.
They were 10 last week for me, and they actually won. So I felt like
right. I gotta see more. I trust Rodgers, obviously, but anything else,
sure.
No,
but you don't trust Allen Lazard, Christian Watkins,
right?
All those guys.
Right.
There's too many questions after 12 and then 33 and whatever the fuck number AJ Dillon wears. Like you trust the fucking quarterback and the 2 running backs, but afterwards it's like, well.
But that being said,
figure it out.
I think they play Tampa this week. That can change this week if they win Tampa.
Yes and no. Now with Tampa not having Mike Evans, Chris Godwin with a hamstring injury, you may be facing the Cole Beasley, Scotty Miller show. And if that's the case, like Aaron Rodgers should find a way to time of possession that game to at least keep Brady at bay for a while.
Right. I agree. All right. So you had 8 Green Bay, right?
Correct.
8 for me is the team in that same division, Minnesota Vikings. Embarrassing loss last night. Again, the narrative, I guess it's a real thing. Captain Kirk Cousins can't seem to play, rise his level of play when the bright lights are on.
Well, let's also look at it from this perspective, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Yes, I had Minnesota in the 10th spot in line because they lost and they were the 9 last week. But is this more of a kudos to the team that they played? Darius Slay is arguably the best cornerback in football right now. Took arguably the best wide receiver in football out of the equation.
Yes.
So that's more of a, is Adam Thielen a bona fide number 2 wide receiver in the NFL still? Do they have enough weapons? Is Dalvin Cook a good enough running back? Yes, Kirk Cousins threw 3 really bad red zone interceptions, but he got them to the red zone 3 additional times that if they score 2 of those, that game is a lot closer than it looks.
And by the way, to answer your question, I say yes, because the team I have, number 1, they lost last night, took a major jump in my rankings. You'll see the second.
Yeah, mine also. So.
Right. And number 2, I didn't ding them much on my list from last week compared to last week.
I only dinged them a spot because
me too. One spot. Me too.
I think it's because of who they lost to.
Right. So you got to play that also too. I think the other team they lost last night might be a problem. Number 7.
Go Chargers, go.
Where were they last week for you? I'm curious.
I had them at 4. So I dinged them. I dinged them a little bit.
Okay.
But I dinged them because if you're a team that has a franchise quarterback like Justin Herbert, you have to do something with that offensive line to make sure he doesn't get the shit knocked out of him.
Right.
And now he's going to be playing with probably cracked or hairline fractures in his ribs for the next
day to day
4 to 6 weeks. He's probably not going to practice much for the next 4 weeks because you're not going to want him out there taking a fucking throw the wrong way and something fuck him up.
Yeah, of course.
The reality of the situation, though, no Keenan Allen. Mike Williams played just fine. This offense is going to go, and I think we all know that this offense will go. They're a team though that's going to have to get the defense together because you can't win shootouts every week.
Right. 7 for me is local Miami Dolphins. I question putting them this high though, but you beat the Patriots week 1 in a fairly dominant fashion. Then you come back against the Ravens. I mean, look, you should have been down that big as this anyway. But look, they did their job. They came back and won the game.
I think it's too high just because of the questions on defense.
No, I can understand that, and I think that this is the week I start to I may course correct that
obviously,
this week against Buffalo.
If they go out and lose the game 21-20 or win the game outright against Buffalo, then yes, this is a mission statement from
right. Absolutely.
But if it's 45-14 going into the fourth quarter, I don't expect the same thing to happen against Buffalo.
Right. I totally agree with you 100%. And if you saw last night's game, you'll see why. Okay. These next couple could be controversial here. We'll see. Number 6, who you got?
Down 5 spots. Give me the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay. So you got them pretty high, actually.
Had them at 2 last week.
That's right. No, you did that thing.
Loved how they looked going into this game. The offense, again, Rashad Bateman, Devin Duvernay, Lamar Jackson, fine. They're getting J.K. Dobbins back. The offense is just going to get all of its weapons back. The problem is this is not your father's Baltimore Ravens defense. And that's a question that people are going to ask for a long time. Pay Lamar, pay Lamar, pay Lamar. Someone's going to pay Lamar. You're absolutely right. Somebody is going to pay him, and he is going to be a good quarterback for whatever team jersey he decides to wear in the next couple of years. The problem is if you pay Lamar, that defense ain't going to get any better.
Right. I'm with you. All right, 6 for me, the L.A. Rams. Something's up. Look, it's 2 weeks. I agree. They're at 5 last week. I mean, the Falcons literally had a chance to win that game late. Really?
Yeah. Here's what it is. Breaking news. Listen, Matt Stafford's elbow is fucked.
Yeah, something's up. It could be elbow.
Right, elbow.
Yeah, something's up, and you don't want to deny that something's up with the Rams. I mean, a little bit of a hangover, maybe. I know the 1-1, they won the game, whatever. A little bit of a hangover though. Just like your boys in Cincy. A little bit of a hangover for the Rams too.
A little less
something to watch
in Cincinnati.
No, I agree. I think also where they play at the division of conference. I think they'll figure out a way to make right the ship. But a little concerned on the Rams right now. A little concerned. All right, 5.
For some reason, this guy just can't have good games against the fucking New Orleans Saints. Give me Tommy in the Bucks.
Yeah, something about that. Unless they play in the playoffs, of course.
He just for some reason he looks at the schedule and he goes, "What weeks do I want to shit the bed? Oh, we're playing Marcus Lattimore. We'll go those weeks."
Okay.
I don't get it. He never had this problem whenever he was with the Patriots. He never had that week on the calendar every week where it was like, "Hey, we're playing Buffalo this week. Let me shit the bed."
But there were certain teams though, like even back in New York, he'll play whether it be location or certain teams.
He always hated playing in Miami. Let's be real.
Miami and then the Ravens. The Ravens was going to issue.
That's because the Ravens back when he was in the fucking with New England, that defense was actually
good. Right. And to the Saints' credit, their defense has been really good the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. So they've actually carried that team, to be honest, even at the end of Drew Brees. So 6 for you, 5 for you. I'd rather you have you said Buccaneers.
Okay,
I'm a little concerned. I actually consider moving them down my list also, to be honest with you. 5 for me. Here we go. L.A. Chargers.
Go Chargers, go.
Now remember last week. They're number 8 in the list. They lost this week to the Chiefs. Yet they move up 3 spots. Because I saw what I needed to see about this team on Thursday Night Football.
They got that.
They should, huh?
They got that dog in them.
they should have won that game. That pick six doesn't. If that pick doesn't happen, like they win that game, probably going away too. Because they had control of that game pretty much from start to like at least a little early in the fourth quarter.
Correct.
I'm impressed. Obviously, you're concerned about Herbert and the ribs, all that, but in terms of the team overall, I like this team a lot, and I think even off a loss, moving up 3 spots, it was the right spot here. I think right now they're better than all the teams below them for starters. If they play the Rams, they beat the Rams. They play the Dolphins, they play the Vikings, they play the Ravens, Niners, they beat those teams right now. Right now. That's why I feel about that. That's why they're at number 5 on my list. All right, number 4.
The LA Rams.
Okay.
Don't love it. Don't hate it. They're kind of like doing their job. I did drop them a spot this week because I just didn't love the fact that they literally left Marcus Mariota with a throw to win the ball game.
Right. It's bad luck.
If there is something severely wrong with Matt Stafford's elbow, like they need to go get it addressed now.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'd be very concerned right now about his elbow.
Because if not, they're going to make the playoffs as the 3 or the 4 seed. Probably win the first round game, and they get the doors blown off of them by somebody later on.
And I know it's early to discuss like division titles and all that stuff, but now again, we mentioned earlier, but the Niners being number 10 for me, stability.
Mm-hmm.
And also there are problems in the Rams too. Don't forget that they've been a major problem in the Rams. So,
absolutely.
Just saying, Rams ain't maybe very careful with the Niners with Garoppolo now. I'm just saying that could be an issue moving forward. So, hopefully to get that elbow. All right, number 4 for me is the team. I can't stand them, but give the devil its due. Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, and I actually just considered moving up even higher than this. I really did. Really did.
We'll talk about them.
Yeah. I clearly the higher than me, but man, great performance this week, last night against the Vikings. Jalen Hurts looked fantastic. Now, again, just like Tua, can we sustain this? Because, and I tell you what, I don't know if we discussed last week on the podcast, or maybe it was someone else I was discussing with. Eagles have a pretty easy trek to number 1 seed right now, based on the schedule. This is one of the few tough teams that had to play this year, and they passed out flying colors. They played in their own division for starters. We know how bad the division is. It's on paper. They played the AFC South this year, I believe, right? And the NFC North this year.
So their next biggest test will
be the Packers.
The Packers.
Right. And the Packers are kind of right now. Just saying. So the Eagles might have the inside track to number 1 seed this year. Again, 2 weeks in. I know, hot take me. I get that. But let's talk about this long term. Could be Eagles on 1 seed in the NFC. Just saying. Especially with the Rams issues. All right, number 3.
Give me Kermit the Frog and the Swedish Chefs.
Moving up again.
Hey,
look, they were 13 anyway coming into the year. So again,
moving in the right direction. The offense doesn't look like it took that big of a hit with the loss of Tyreek Hill as everybody thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got to be better.
Yeah.
They can't drop passes.
Yeah,
they can't fucking hope to get bailed out by the defense every week. Yes, they blew the doors off of the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals guys are not good.
Yeah, that's another topic for another day. The Cardinals, I still don't know how good they are. I mean, obviously
they're a C+ team. You're like, cool. We passed math class, but my grade point average is still fucking not a 3.0 to get into.
And you might be a wild card team still this year, but that's because of the environment. I agree. All right, 3 for me, the Buccaneers. Like I said, I actually considered moving them down a spot. I guess I have too much faith in Tom Brady because that's who he is.
Call me.
There was concerns there, but they played 2 elite defenses the last 2 weeks, and they've gotten through those, both on the road. Got them credit for that. So, Bucks are 3. 2. I know what 2 is for you, obviously.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
What a performance last night,
dude.
Again, hate to admit it, but get double his due.
And here's the thing: he doesn't have to do what he did against Minnesota last week to stay where he's at.
Right.
Because he plays in a shit fucking division, and his schedule opens up very nicely.
Right.
He can go out there and be mediocre and still win games and still be competitive. Whereas the guy you mentioned in the same sentence, Mr. Tua Tagovailoa, has to be good, if not great, at times against the teams that he's going to face. Perfect example, this week against the Buffalo Bills, he has to go out and almost be perfect because if he makes one small mistake, Bills Mafia will jump all over it.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts can be Donovan McNabb and have a clunker of a game after this one. Still probably have a shot of winning the game if they're playing somebody in that division. So I'm sorry. I think that this Eagles offense, A.J. Brown, has been the breath of fresh air that this team needed to have a solid number one wide receiver. And I'm going to use this as the example here, guys. And A.J. Brown to Jalen Hurts would be what a Michael Thomas would be to a Lamar Jackson. Give quarterbacks like them a number one wide receiver that you actually trust to throw the football to.
Right. Not Hollywood Brown.
To be even more explosive.
Yeah, totally agree with you. 2 for me is easy. The Chiefs. Again, great performance. Well, good performance because the Chargers come back in that game. Still see some things that they need to work on, but overall, you got Mahomes. The defense is playing much better than they have in recent years. We'll see. I think right now
it's easy to have them in the top 5 because when you look at that team, you trust the guy under center, you trust the guy with the Waffle House menu as his play sheet.
Right.
They can be mediocre at points and still win games because you trust the guy that has the football in his hands and you trust the guy calling the plays. It's easy to fall back on comfortability when it comes to a team like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to keep them just solid in your top 5 of your power rankings because you trust the guy throwing the football and you trust the guy calling the plays.
Absolutely. Number 1 for us, I mean, it's easy.
Is there a table shortage in Buffalo yet?
And the thing is, it's not just that they're 2-0, they're dominating 2-0. Dominating out the gate.
Buddy, they didn't have their number 2 wide receiver last night in Gabriel Davis.
Yep.
Stephon Diggs said, throw me the ball 14 fucking times.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. As an AFC founding member here, someone who's got to go through that team if I want to play in another Super Bowl like I did last year, we're fucked.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to put the nice Tua Revenge Tour t-shirts out on social media. No, boys and girls. This is the Josh Allen Revenge Tour. And I hope you guys don't get the doors blown the fuck off of you.
Been saying it. This feels like the stars are aligning. That game last against Kansas City.
I'll tell you right now. We got a date with them in the first weekend in January. Week 17 or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, it is week 17.
Not looking forward to it.
Luckily, I have enough
only
time
way
to
that I'll be looking forward to it is if they're like 14-1 and have already clinched the division, and you're like, you know what? Fuck it. He's only playing the first half because Josh Allen is going to fucking decimate anybody. And Dolphins fans, breaking news, come back to me next week.
Yeah,
if Tua does not play as good as he did in the second half for that entire game, you'll lose by 20.
Again, Buffalo won for me as well, and again, it's what I've been saying. And we discussed last week on the podcast. You were saying that 17-0 could be in play. Look at the schedule. I mean, they only got three hiccups really. That's the way. Chiefs, Ravens, and you guys.
And one of them was us. And if we keep playing like dog shit, they got 2 hiccups in front of us.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So just saying. But you know what? You inspired me something about the Eagles. I might write a blog on Substack about the Eagles number 1 seed thing because I think that's something that people aren't really paying attention to.
100% in play.
Anyway, you can follow Mike on Twitter at They Call Me Burn. Of course, he's with me also 1/4 of Take the Wrestling podcast.
Should we name it the Square Root podcast? The Square Root Wrestling podcast now?
Dude, I mean, might as well, right?
I mean, we got 4 of us. So.
Yeah, we got 4 now. We got 4. Although hoping the other guy shows up to speak,
I don't see why he wouldn't.
Okay.
I could be wrong though.
I missed that guy. I've actually missed him. Missed the crude jokes and the gay jokes and stuff.
Like I told you though.
Awesome theories and stuff.
This show has gone a lot shorter. He is the intern Mark of Take the Wrestling podcast.
Yes, he is.
Things get derailed very quickly.
But that's okay though. We like that. That's what
I love it. I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying things go off the rail very quickly whenever he's there.
Exactly. So, of course, check out the Take as a podcast also well on any podcast catcher. Mike, great job as always. And next week, we'll see how the rankings look like next week, week 4.
Oh, yeah.